Let your body settle now. Your shoulders, feel how they want to climb toward your ears. They don't need to do that, just let them drop. Your hands, where are they resting? Notice the warmth in them, the quiet weight of your own fingers. Your jaw, you might be holding it without knowing. Let it go, slightly apart. There is nothing your face needs to work through tonight. Your feet, the places where they meet the bed, heavy now. The blanket across them, the slow warmth spreading upward. The weight of the blanket, the warmth of it. It doesn't matter what happened today. Tonight there is only this. There is nothing you need to solve right now. Nothing to plan. Nothing to remember. It will all be there tomorrow. And as you breathe, the world you know grows quiet, and something older takes its place. You are on a Phoenician trading ship, anchored in a sheltered cove of the Mediterranean. The year is approximately 800 BCE. The gaulos has been riding at anchor since sundown, her hull rocking in a slow and easy rhythm. Tonight she is going nowhere. Tonight you will simply rest here. The ship is called a gaulos. Round and deep-bellied, built for carrying rather than speed. Cedar and pine from the mountains above the coast, shaped by adze and long knowledge of how wood behaves in salt water. Her single mast stands amidships, the sail furled now around its yard, lashed in tight spirals against the night. The ropes are rough under your palm, hemp, and twisted fiber, worn to a softness from constant handling. You are lying on the open deck, near the starboard side. Below you, the planking holds the warmth of the day's sun in the grain of the wood. A rolled length of sailcloth serves as your mat. Your cloak is pulled over you. This is where you sleep most nights when the weather is kind. The mast above you is a dark column against a sky just beginning to show its stars. The rigging hangs loose and still. A small clay lamp at the stern casts a thin amber circle across the steersman's bench, just enough light to see the tiller, the horizon, nothing more. The flame leans slightly, steadies, leans again. The cove is small and good. A bay cut into the limestone coastline, its arms of rock reaching out to shelter the ship from the open sea beyond. 2 stone anchors over the bow, the ropes angled down and disappearing into dark water. The gaulos does not drift. She turns very slowly on the anchor lines, no more than the width of a hand over the course of an hour. The water inside is nearly flat. Beyond the cove's mouth, the open Mediterranean runs in long, slow swells. You can hear it as a low and distant sound, the breathing of a very large thing. But here, the hull moves with only the gentlest creak, a small flexing of wood at the joints, a sound like a house settling in the cool of the night. The shore is close enough to smell. Dry rock and low scrub, wild thyme, perhaps, or something like it. The faint mineral warmth of limestone that has held the sun all day. A night bird calls once from somewhere on the hillside above, and then does not call again. The silence it leaves is heavier than before. There is nothing you need to solve right now. Nothing to plan, nothing to remember. The anchors are holding. The cove is holding. The sea itself is holding everything tonight. Below the deck, the hold is full. Cedar of Lebanon. The great trunks, trimmed and squared, lashed in bundles against the hull frames. The smell of them rises through the deck planking, a deep, dry sweetness, the smell of living wood held in stillness. Cedar from the mountains above Tyre, loaded by the same hands that have loaded cedar for 100 years before this. Alongside the cedar, bolts of cloth dyed with Tyrian purple. That color, not quite violet, not quite crimson, somewhere between them. The color that comes from the Murex sea snail, boiled and crushed and worked into the wool over many days. A single bolt is worth more than most men earn in a season. The cloth is wrapped in oiled linen against the damp. Somewhere in the hold, the faint, deep smell of the dye still reaches you if you know to find it. Glass beads in a sealed clay jar. Tin from somewhere far to the west, cold and dense in its straw wrapping. Grain packed into the spaces between. The hold is a careful arrangement, each thing wedged against the ship's rolling, each thing carrying the city of Tyre a little further across the world. The meal came while the sun was still above the water. Flat bread, baked this morning on a hot stone before the anchor was raised. Dense and slightly charred at the edges, the inside soft and faintly sour. You broke it and ate it without thinking much, the way you eat most things at sea. Olives from a small clay pot, brine-cured, dark, their flesh giving easily. A handful of dried figs, wrinkled and heavy with their own sweetness. And fish, cedar-smoked fish, packed in oil, eaten slowly with the fingers. The smoke in it carried almost the same smell as the cedar in the hold, but different, transformed. Something that had been alive and was now preserved, carrying the forest in it across the water. Fresh water came from the earthen jar lashed to the mast, cool from the clay, tasting faintly of the earth it was fired from. You drank slowly. At sea, you always drink slowly. The food is finished. Your hands are empty now. The evening is full and the night is beginning, and there is nothing left to do but let the ship hold you. The sky above the mast is full of stars now. Your people call it Phoenix, the star that does not move. All the others wheel through the night, rising in the east, arcing overhead, sinking in the west. But that one stays. Fixed above the northern horizon, the still point around which everything else turns. You have sailed by it since you were old enough to stand night watch. In the daytime, you navigate by the coast, island to headland to known bay, each landmark memorized from the voyage before, and the voyage before that. What the older sailors left was not charts. It was knowledge, passed from hand to hand, the shape of a coast carried in the body rather than on papyrus. But at night, when the coast disappears, there is only Phoenix. You know which direction Carthage lies from here, the new city, barely 40 years old, planted by Tyre on the far African shore. You know Cyprus sits a day and a half east. You know Tartessos lies somewhere beyond the great rock pillars at the water's western end. The star holds still. It has held still above every voyage that ever happened on this sea, and it will hold still through all the ones not yet taken. Tyre is behind you now, many days behind. The city built on rock in the sea, an island just offshore, its harbor facing east, its harbor facing west. Walls that drop directly into the water on 3 sides. From a distance, it looks as though it is growing out of the sea itself, which in a way it is. You can still recall, if you settle on it, the dye works along the southern shore. The Murex shells piled in great mounds outside the workshops, cracked open and left in the sun. The smell of the dye process is not pleasant, and everyone in Tyre stopped noticing it long ago. Visitors notice. You noticed once when you were young, and then simply forgot. There was a merchant, a memory from before the voyage. He sat under an awning in the harbor quarter, a reed stylus moving across a thin sheet of papyrus. The 22 signs of the alphabet. Quantities, values, names of buyers at the far end. A small record, sealed in a clay box, to be read by other hands at journey's end. There is nothing you need to solve right now. Tyre will be there when you return. The harbor, the causeways, the sound of the city over the water, all of it waiting. One man is awake. The night watch sits near the stern, wrapped in his cloak, his back against the stern post. He is watching the cove mouth, the way the open sea shows beyond it, the slow movement of the anchor rope as the ship breathes. If a wind came up, he would know it before the sail moved. He does not move very much. He has been watching since moonrise, and he will watch until the man who relieves him arrives without being asked. This is understood between sailors. The watching just continues, one man to the next, through all the hours of darkness. Before settling for the night, you offered a brief thought to Melqart, the lord of Tyre, the one who guards sailors on the open sea. Not a long prayer. Just an acknowledgement, something between a breath and a word, addressed to the darkness and the water, and then released. The ship is still here. The cove is still here. Above the watchman, above the mast, the stars continue their long turning. Slowly, too slowly to watch, fast enough that by morning everything will have shifted. The same stars, a different arrangement. Listen. The water finds the hull in a very particular way. Not the crash of open water here in the cove. The waves have spent themselves almost completely before they reach the ship. What remains is a soft, irregular sound. Water lifting slightly against the planking, withdrawing, lifting again. Each one a little different from the last. The anchor rope shifts. A low creak at the bow, a slow settling. The ship moves in a long, gentle arc around her anchor point, turning so slowly it is not a movement, but almost a thought of movement. A small drip from somewhere, a rope end or a seam, falls into the water below and is immediately gone. The sail wrapping above rustles once in a faint breath of air that finds the cove and loses itself there. The linen holds for a moment against the air and then lets it pass. The rigging goes still. The hull moves on the water. The water moves against the hull. These sounds are all the ship says at night. Creak, drip, the soft percussion of water on cedar, over and over, without urgency, without meaning. Just the sound of a large wooden thing resting on the sea. Your thoughts are loosening now. The cedar in the hold is giving off its slow, deep smell. The purple cloth is there, wrapped in its oiled linen. The glass beads in their sealed jar. The cargo is settled for the night. Tyre is days behind you and days ahead. Phoenix holds its place above the northern horizon, watching everything at once. The ships of other sailors, the coastlines not yet reached, the city your people planted on the far shore 40 years ago. All of it under the same sky, all of it breathing under the same turning stars. The watchman at the stern is still there. He will keep watching. The anchors are dug into the sand of the cove's bottom, holding the gaulos in her slow arc, and the limestone arms of the cove are holding the ship from the open sea, and the open sea is holding everything else. You do not need to hold any of it. The water finds the hull, lifts, withdraws, the creak of the planking. A sound like the ship breathing, or you breathing, or the two of them finding the same rhythm in the dark. The sail is furled. The meal is done. The stars are keeping their own watch above the mast and do not need your help. Let the water carry it. Let the cedar hold its smell in the dark hold below. Let the watchman watch. There is nothing you need to carry tonight. The water against the wood, the faint smell of the shore, the stars still.